All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is, what day is it? It's a Monday, I know that much. It's Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at a little after 3. This is the Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO, of Monterey County. We're here in the Government Board Chambers in Salinas, and we're going to call our meeting to order with a roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Bickle. Here. Commissioner Daniels. Present. Commissioner Donahue. Here. Commissioner Gorley. Commissioner Kong.
I'm here.
Commissioner Lindley.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Oglesby.
Here.
Commissioner Velasquez. Here. Vice Chair Leffel.
Here.
And Chair Rudescu.
Here. All right.
Thank you, Chair. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Jeff, could we have you lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll start our meeting off with general public comments. This is for anyone in the public who'd like to address the commission on items that are within our purview but not otherwise listed on the agenda. We'll welcome you to the dais. Seeing no one in chambers, is there anyone online for general public comment today?
Chair Rudescu, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, we'll close general public comment and proceed with the agenda items today. I would like to just announce we're going to move item number 9 up to follow item number 2. So just one amendment to the agenda. But with that, we'll start with item number 1, our special business.
Thank you, Chair. Today we have the results of the first of 2 elections by our independent special districts, and our associate analyst, Jeff Condit, will lead staff discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Commission. We have been undergoing an independent special district selection committee process with the election for the regular independent special district member concluding on March 6, 2026. Commissioner Leffel, the board member of the Monterey Peninsula Airport District, was reelected to a regular special district member commissioner position on LAFCO. The term of the seat is 4 years and will expire in May 2030. A second election is currently underway to fill the alternate special district member seat, and mail-in ballots for that are due April 20th. The results are, and those results will be reported in a subsequent LAFCO meeting. Today we're asking you to approve a resolution which provides the results of the election. And thank you, Chair. I'm available for any questions or comments.
All right, we have a motion from Gorley. I'll second that, and we will take it out to public comment. Any public comment on this item? Seeing no one in chambers, hearing no one online, we will bring it back to the board for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. We'll just thank all of the special districts who took the time out of their meetings to consider the candidates and participate in the process. I think it's important that our county has special districts included in our LAFCO. There are many counties that don't have the participation of special districts, so we're happy to have our special districts rep here with us. And so with that, we'll move on to item number 2 on our agenda, which is to administer the oath of office for our regular special district member, Commissioner Mary Ann Leffel. And I have some. Would you like to join me? All right. We'll do our oath. Okay, good. Do you, Mary Ann Leffel, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter?
I will, and I do.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah. All right. Would you like to make any comments? Re-elected commissioner.
I'm going to make a couple when we do the budget, but I'll just say it was a very interesting process this time around. A lot of people involved that have not been involved in the past behind the scenes. And so it was an interesting thing to go to districts and see that sometimes it didn't matter what you presented. Their minds were made up because of outside sources. So I would just say we've got a lot to do here in the county.
All right, thank you. We'll move now on to item number 9, which we moved up earlier in the agenda. This is our public member appointments to LAFCO, and I'll pass it to our executive officer for the report.
Thank you, Chair Root Askew. This item will be presented by Jeff.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Today, we're going to be discussing the public member and alternate public member appointments. So the terms of seats held by LAFCO Public Member Commissioner Matt Gorley and alternate public member Mike Bickle will expire the first Monday of May 2026. And LAFCO is conducting a public member appointment process to fill both seats. So originally, LAFCO received 7 applications to serve the 4-year terms. One applicant was disqualified due to receiving the application after the February 28th deadline. And then 2 applicants later withdrew due to a conflict with future time commitments. So 4 candidates, including the 2 incumbents, will move forward in our selection process to identify individuals to serve the 4-year terms. And the purpose of today's agenda item is to consider and make appointments. So in accordance with our government code, we prepared and distributed a public notice and press release announcing the public member positions. We also published a notice in the Monterey County Weekly. The candidate information for the 4 candidates is attached to the agenda report today. The commission is requested to consider the qualifications of all candidates, and the candidates have been invited today to attend the meeting to introduce themselves. The appointment to each public member seat requires the affirmative vote of at least one county member, 1 city member, and 1 special district member. And each appointment needs at least 4 votes of the current commissioners qualified to vote on the matter. So the current regular and alternate public members will serve in their seats until the first Monday of May. But the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act does specify that the current members will continue to serve until appointments are made and members are sworn in by the commission. That's clear. So in accordance with state law and the commission's adopted bylaws, the terms of office of the regular and alternate public member seats are for 4 years, ending the first Monday of May 2030. With that, I'll take any questions you may have.
If I could just add one clarification, please, if our commission could turn to page 53 of the agenda packet, you'll see there the list of candidates includes 5 names. The 4th candidate withdrew this morning. And so candidates 1, 2, 3, and 5 remain today for your consideration. Number 4 withdrew.
Great, thank you. So with that, I will go to invite our public member candidates to make introductory statements. We'll start with Michael Paul Bickle.
And could we ask the broadcasting room, do we have a time limit per speaker?
Hello, my name is Mike Bickle. I have lived in Monterey County for most of my life. I've raised a family here. I've grown a business here over the course of most of my adult life that now employs about 50 county residents here. I understand the importance and the balance of the municipality growth and the agricultural industry and the importance that plays to our local economy. My wife and I, over the course of the last few years, we've been trying to get more and more involved in different parts of the community, different boards, different committees and such. I've served on the Sheriff's Advisory Council for the last 4 years and been a part of LAFCO for almost the last 3. I've enjoyed my time here, kind of getting to learn how some of these government commissions work. It was a little foreign to me for sure at first, but it's been very interesting. I think I do bring a very applicable perspective of the public community to the board, being that I'm not really from any type of government position or anything else. And if the commission so chooses, I'm happy to continue to serve.
Thank you. We'll go next to Michael DeLapa.
All good? Great. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to share why I would like to serve as a public member on LAFCO and what I would bring to the commission. For more than 30 years, I've worked to advance sound land use, environmental stewardship, equity, and sustainability across Monterey County. Like many of you, I've dedicated a significant part of my life to ensuring that local government works effectively, encouraging orderly growth, preserving agricultural land, and discouraging sprawl. For me, it has never been just a profession. It reflects a set of lifelong values. I bring a deep, practical understanding of Monterey County, its 12 cities and unincorporated communities. My connection to this community to this region goes back decades to when I was a student at Stanford's Hopkins Marine Station, and it's a place that I've returned again and again throughout my life and career. Professionally, I've worked across many sectors. I helped lead the film company C Studios for 10 years, and during that time, I co-founded 3 nonprofit organizations in Monterey County, including Landwatch. I think some of you may have heard of Landwatch. That was a joke. I also founded the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, which recently received a $78 million grant from NOAA. And I co-founded C Studios Foundation, which made about $20 million in films for National Geographic Television, zoos, aquariums, and museums around the world. After that experience, I moved to Silicon Valley, where I worked in technology and co-founded a software company that created hundreds of jobs. And after that experience, I worked in consulting with startups that created hundreds of more jobs. Over the past decade, as executive director of Landwatch and as a resident of Monterey County, my focus has been on building stronger, more sustainable communities aligned with LAFCO's mission. I worked with the agricultural leaders, housing advocates, and developers to help create safe, decent housing for more than 2,500 farm workers. I supported the approval of 8,000 housing units in Salinas, and I've convened a working group of local developers, some of the largest in our county, to identify ways to make housing easier, faster, and less costly to build. What I bring to LAFCO is a combination of science-based and data-driven decision-making, experience in economic development and job creation, and deep expertise in land use, water, and housing policy. I also bring a collaborative approach and long-standing relationships across economic, environmental, community, and other sectors in our region. More importantly, I bring a deep commitment to Monterey County. I intend to spend the rest of my life contributing to its future, and I would be honored to serve as a member of LAFCO. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We'll go next to Matt Gorley.
Good afternoon, fellow commissioners and those in the public. It all started with me with hauling my 2-year-old daughter around in a red wagon in downtown Gonzales, and had the great privilege of raising our family there. And it's been incredible. And then I was on the Planning Commission, I believe in 1994, probably started on the Planning Commission and the City Council in 98, immediately jumped on the LAFCO board as a city member, alternate to the Mayor's Committee. and have been on ever since. So I think we're probably looking at 25, 26 years now on LAFCO. I think I've served 2 terms at Cal LAFCO, so a total of 8 years at Cal LAFCO, and was vice chair there for a few years. Put together a few conferences here, helped Kate with. Put together a few conferences at Cal LAFCO here in Monterey. So just had the privilege of that. I've been a quick study with Karma Valley Incorporation. That was quite the fight, and I think we almost had an all-nighter that night. It went way into the morning hours. That was something else. I served 2 years back to back at AMBAG president. So I've got my feet wet with HCD and housing allocations and what all that means for the entire community. And Gonzales being a bedroom community. And in Gonzales, we brought in the industrial park. So we brought in 80-acre industrial park, and we started bringing business and bringing jobs to the city of Gonzales, so our residents didn't have to leave. And at the same time, we had Mr. Wellington Homes come to Gonzales and try to bring, I think it was 25 years ago, bring up and try to get an annexation done for his project. And he's still not there. And that's the one that's going to be coming before us actually, they have submitted their application this last month. So we're eager to see that move at a personal level. So I'm committed to staying on LAFCO and seeing that come to fruition, and all of the issues, and being the voice for South County. For many years, I've been that representative down in South County because we don't get a lot of representation on a lot of the county seats. So it means a lot to me. So I'm looking forward to the commission. I think everybody here on this commission, whether you're voting or you're the alternate, you know where I stand on all these issues, and you'd see what we went through, and I was chair for the ag land mitigation, and just putting up the fight and having everybody in the room, everybody from all of our planners from all our jurisdictions to mayors and supervisors, and everybody sitting in a room, and the farmers, the ranchers, the developers, and just hashing all this out, the private consultants working. We came to conclusion of where we sit with ag land mitigation, and that was really important. And it wasn't easy. It was a lot of meetings, but I think everybody knows where I stand. You've worked with me before, and I think I have a proven track record. So thank you.
Okay, great. And then Nancy Nino withdrew her application, so we have Brian Okazaki.
Chair Rudasky, it appears Mr. Okazaki is on Zoom, so I will ask him to unmute. Brian, are you able to hear us, and can you unmute for your 5 minutes of? Are you? Okay. He's currently muted.
Mr. Okazaki, we have time for you to present, but you'll need to unmute. Do we give is it as a panelist?
I'll ask.
Brian, it looks like you're on as a panelist, but we'll need you to unmute your microphone so that we can receive your statements. I'm not sure if there's a way for us to unmute someone.
Brian's left the meeting, so.
Okay, it looks like maybe he's relogging on. We'll give just a moment to make sure we give fair consideration to everyone. But I'll just mention that in our packet starting on page 53, there's full applications from every one of the applicants who submitted information who's being considered today. All right, let's move on to public comment on this item. Is there anyone in the chambers for public comment on our item number 9, public member appointments? Is there anyone online for public comment?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
Okay, I see no public comment, so we'll close public comment and bring it back to this board, this commission, to consider and appoint one public member commissioner and one alternate public member commissioner to represent the general public on LAFCO for 4-year terms expiring in May of 2030, or to continue consideration of appointments to our next regular LAFCO meeting as necessary. Sure, okay, we'll bring it back to the board, and I see I'll start on the end with Commissioner Daniels.
So, yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm going to just throw it out there that we punt this to the next meeting if there is any support for that. I would really like some more time. And I think that this is a very important decision for us to be making. And I would like to figure out a pathway for being supportive, but I'm not there yet, and I do feel like I need some more time.
Great, thank you. I'll say I agree. I think there's this public member seat represents a critical vote on LAFCO, and it is imperative that the commission provides fair hearings with full consideration of our staff recommendations and communities impacted by our decisions. I think that we've worked really well as a commission over the time that I've been here, and I would like to be able to continue that spirit of collaboration in the work that we do. And I think having an extra little bit of time would be helpful in coming to that, continuing in that, for us to work in that way. So is that a motion?
I would be happy to make a motion.
Second.
We have a second. So a motion from Daniels and a second from Leffel. So we'll bring this back next month for some additional commission discussion and appointment. Did we have, before we act on that, closing that out, did we have Mr. Okazaki rejoin so that we could hear his comments?
No.
We didn't. Okay.
not
Just wanted to make sure we gave him that chance. All right. So we have a motion to bring this back next month for action. All in favor? Oh, more discussion. All right, more discussion from.
Well, it's two things. Point of order, Chair. Let me go out to the public first before we take any vote. And then, yeah, I wanted to say something.
Oh, sure.
Which is.
We did go out to the public, but I'll pass the floor to you
On the motion?
on the item.
Okay. Stand corrected. And I agree. That's what I wanted to say.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Yeah, I agree as well, but I do have a question in terms of going back out. What does the motion actually mean? We're just going to come back, but is there going to be more outreach to be able to know, or is it just to be able, okay, so no more outreach for that? So that's my clarification. I know that there was some comments in terms of the applicants and some of the, I think for me, in terms of just making sure that there's true representation in terms of the public. This seat is really important, as you said, Chair, but in terms of really having public representation, I think it's really important. Obviously, we have a lot of government representation. We have a lot of representation from other portions, but having that public voice that truly represents the public, that does not come with any other type of representation, but comes from the public lens, is really critical. So I think that's really important. So that was that's my comment, that we have that true public representation.
And just to clarify the motion, we have the process for applications has closed, so it would just be to bring exactly the same staff report that's in front of us back next month for action. Sure. Back to Commissioner. Well, let's see. Has everyone else had a chance? Are there any comments, questions over here?
I had a question. Why did we move it up in the agenda?
So we had people who were here to speak.
Perfect.
Well,
Was there anything else over here just before we do seconds? Okay.
Is staff still working with our fourth person to see if you can get him online?
Yeah. He has not come back on to join the Zoom meeting.
Okay, I just want to give him an opportunity if he's there.
Any other comments on the motion?
Yeah, no, I support the motion as is, which is to move forward or kick to the next month the current slate. I think folks have had plenty of time to express their interests. So.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll come back for,
Yeah, it was just quick. I just wanted to reserve Mr. What's his name? Brian's time for if we meet again, if he's choose to call in. I want to reserve his opportunity to present.
we could do that.
Thank you so much, Chair.
All right, ready to take a vote then? We'll say all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
We have one opposed. Got it. All right, and we have that down for the record? Okay. Okay, with that, we're moving on to we're going back to item number 3. Sorry about that. This is actually our consent agenda, items number 3 through 8. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda today? You can approach the dais and we'll welcome your public comment on the consent. Thank you for joining us today.
I'd like to make a comment on item number 7 when it's appropriate.
We'd love to hear it now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 7 is your annual work program, and I'd like to address the tone of the executive director's written report there appears to be a touch alarmist to me. The statement simply says, annexation would increase the existing city by about 65% in terms of acreage. Next sentence, the development project would add up to 3,498 residential units to the approximately 2,000 that currently exist, a 175% increase. Well, actually, we've got 2,275 units in our town, so it's actually a smaller increase. And the LAFCO first phase of our proposal that you'll be working on in your work program would only be about a 56% increase for the first phase. I think it would have been nice for the director to have said, for a city that has not been able to add meaningful housing for 2 decades, the project will allow 20-plus years of additional housing supply with a spectrum of prices and affordability. The project site is fully within the sphere of influence and negotiated with the County of Monterey and brokered by LAFCO in 2014. And a review of municipal services is presently underway. I think that would have been a great thing to add in that presentation. I'd like to also share here that the project here has no surprises or sprawl to be alarmist about. The farmland and agricultural land issues was resolved 12 years ago. Otherwise, at that time, the city would have not been able or not been granted our sphere of influence. The battle was those years ago that we were relying on here to plan for the city's future. We are not growing south, we're not growing west, we're not growing north. We like to grow within our sphere of influence that we've been talking about and working with. The city has comprehensively assembled a functional and integrated city-centered neighborhood proposal built upon the city's 2010 general plan and directed within our sphere of influence. I think that would have been a much nicer introduction to your work plan ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on our consent agenda today? Anyone online?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, we'll bring it back for the board. Commissioner Velasquez.
Yes, I have a comment on 6 and 7. So on item number 6 on the preliminary draft annual work plan, thank you for adding some of those additional items on the annual work plan. But can we also add, I know they added the technical training piece, can we also add a timeline for that? Would it be possible to add a timeline to that?
Through the chair, if I could clarify. This is the annual work program implementation status report on consent, item number 7. The work program is also on this agenda. That is item 13 on our agenda today. So just to make sure we're not mixing agenda items, this is a status report on the existing work plan, the currently approved, and later on the agenda is next year's work program for consideration.
Okay, so item number 6 also had, so we're adopting a resolution approving the amendment, number 1, to the current fiscal year. So it had it on there, so maybe I'm getting it wrong. So wait until the work plan. I thought I had it there.
Commissioner Velasquez, I believe that the technical training that you're referring to is part of the proposed budget staff report and is not in agenda item number 6. Agenda item number 6 pertains to an amendment to moving line item funding this current fiscal year. But if you could please just take a moment and check that and see if I'm hearing you correctly.
Apologize. Maybe I did get the agenda item. Maybe it's in the work plan program. So there was one item that was a technical, where the technical training was included. I just wanted to see if it was possible to add a timeline to that one. That was all my comment on that one. So let me, then, yeah. So if it was on there, so I apologize if I got it incorrectly on my notes. I was trying to get my notes correct. On the item, agenda item number 7 on the work plan, though, let me go to that one, which was just a status report. I do have just a couple of questions on that, because that was a status on some of the progress from some of the special districts. I have a question. I know that, thank you for providing us with a checklist. I have a question, because I know that there was several of the compliance items under the ethics and harassment prevention training and the Form 700 that were not completed by several of the special districts. Do we know what are some of the reasons? I mean, that's a 2-hour training, and I know that we've been working with them for some time now. What are some of the challenges with that? That's one of the easier items to complete. Do they need extra support on that, or what are some of the issues with that 2-hour training?
So I'll help respond to those questions, and if our associate analyst Jeff Condit has more to add, I'll let him. But essentially, what we're hearing is a couple of these districts have changes in board members. So the new board members coming on have not completed the required trainings. In terms of the Form 700, out of these 8 special districts that we've been tracking and encouraging to complete, they have completed the Form 700s. So we have that to note in this month's progress report. In terms of the required trainings, we still have the Spreckles districts, the Soledad Cemetery District, and the San Ardo Water District and San Lucas Water District to complete trainings.
They still have to complete those.
Madam Chair, if I might, I think the confusion might be on page 42, 43, because I think it's just a matter of the report, because it says in progress and then completed in a couple of the categories. And I flagged that to discuss it. So I think you're saying they're completed. So the middle column just needs to say completed also, because they're no longer in progress, correct?
Correct.
So that will clean that up. On the year-to-date, on the work plan that we already approved.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Did that complete your questions, Commissioner Velasquez? Yes, okay. Any other comments, questions on the consent agenda? Seeing no one make eye contact. So we did take this out to the public, and we'll bring it back for, do we have a motion?
I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion from Leffel, a second from Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No opposed. Right, motion passes. All right, with that, we'll now move on to item number 10, our LAFCO Budget and Finance Committee appointments. bring it to Kate.
Yep, thank you, Chair. And I believe that Jeff is going to present this item as well.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So it is recommended that the Commission appoint 3 members to the LAFCO Budget and Finance Committee for 2026. The current committee members include Commissioner Leffel, Commissioner Oglesby, and Commissioner Lopez. And pursuant to our bylaws, there's standing or ad hoc committees of the Commission may be established from time to time. At present, the Budget and Finance Committee is the only active standing committee of the Commission. The committee meets with executive officer, staff, and financial consultants generally 4 times per year. And we examine LAFCO's finances and make recommendations to the full commission on the use of funds available over the current and prospective fiscal year. Staff is recommending that we make an appointment by adoption of a motion naming members of a committee. And I'll turn it over to you, Chair.
Great, thank you. And let's see here. The recommendation, current committee is comprised of Commissioners Leffel, Oglesby, and Lopez. Did the committee discuss, was there a recommendation for continuing into the next year?
That would be up to the commission.
To the commission?
Yep.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. We'll open it up for the board discussion on this. I'll open it up first to those who sit on the committee. We have Commissioner Leffel.
I'm happy to serve again. It's, 45 years of my background, so it's kind of what I do. Happy to do that.
Any comments? No?
If someone else has time to do it, but there's no one else, then I'll do it. But it's a wonderful committee. Yeah, if someone else wants to step up.
Is anyone else interested in serving?
Chair, I can also clarify that Commissioner Lopez has indicated willingness to continue to serve.
I'll move the existing committee.
All right, we have a motion for the existing committee.
Second.
We have a second. We'll take it out to public comment on this. Anyone in chambers? Anyone online?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right. We have a motion to support a resolution that appoints Commissioners Leffel, Oglesby, and Lopez to continue serving on our LAFCO Budget and Finance Committee for 2026. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? None? All right, motion passes unanimously. We can now move on to item number, let's see here, this is item number 11, to authorize conditional comment letters to public agencies.
Thank you, Chair. This will be presented by our principal analyst, Jonathan Brinkman.
Chair Rudascu and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to present this item today. We have before the Commission today 3 draft comment letters that are subject to Commission authorization. These comment letters are to AMBEG for its 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy, and its draft EIR. That's the first comment letter. The second comment letter is for the City Gonzalez's Puente del Monte Notice of Preparation of a Draft Environmental Impact Report. And the third comment letter is for the City of Salinas Vision 2040 Public Review Draft General Plan. These comment letters were submitted as drafts due to the timing of comment submittal and were noted at the time that they were submitted to each of these entities as drafts subject to Commission approval. Just in quick summary of each of these letters, for the AMBEG letter, the letter generally supports the plans, AMBEG's plans alignment with its goals of orderly growth, ag land preservation, and efficient services. The AMBEG plans focus on compact growth, transit-oriented development, infrastructure investment is consistent with LAFCO policy. And in our letter, we also have identified minor mapping corrections where we've requested changes to ensure consistency with LAFCO boundaries and spheres of influence. Regarding the second comment letter to the City of Gonzales on the Puente del Monte specific plan notice of preparation of a draft EIR, Just to summarize this letter, so this project includes 501 acres of development with housing, mixed uses, and infrastructure improvements. Our LAFCO's draft letter notes LAFCO's authority in the future over annexation and any district boundary changes needed for annexation into the city. Our letter notes that we request that the draft EIR clearly describe anticipated jurisdictional boundary changes. And then we also request detailed agricultural impact analysis and a one-to-one mitigation, preferably by nearby conservation easements. Our letter requests analysis of generally typical items like water supply, groundwater sustainability, public services, and cumulative impacts. And then on the third comment letter, the Salinas Vision 2040 General Plan. In our draft letter, we reference prior coordination with the city and acknowledge the city's responsiveness to our comments. We express support for the draft general plan's focus on infill development and growth and direction of growth consistent with regional agreements and farmland protection. And we recommend that the future EIR include ag mitigation consistent with LAFCO policy and continued coordination with the city on growth and sphere of influence planning. So staff's available for any questions. I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Great, thank you. Let's open it up for public comment on this item number 11.
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Liz Silva. I'm the current Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Gonzales. I'm a native of Monterey County and grew up in Gonzales. I recently attended a legislative update in Sacramento, along with some other electeds from our area, as well as the Monterey County Board of Supervisors meeting, to voice my opinion on housing and how critical it is for the City of Gonzales. Too often, our cities and county are faced with unfunded mandates from the state, but then we face other hurdles to achieve those RHNA numbers. We cannot achieve our RHNA by the year 2031 as expected. Gonzales needs all levels of housing to meet our growing needs for our residents, including those from our area that want to come back and raise their families back in their hometown. Gonzales has added over 15 ADUs over the last few years, but that's not the solution. In fact, that brings other issues like parking on the streets. We can't even park in front of our own homes. In my opinion, Gonzales has done their due diligence. Now it's time for this commission to do the same and move forward on approving our request for annexations. We've been waiting over 20 years, and that's long enough. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else for public comment on our conditional comment letters to public agencies? No one in chambers. Is there anyone online?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion, motion.
I have a question for staff
Commissioner
on the AMBAG letter. Did you receive a reply back?
Yes, since we sent the letter, AMBAG asked for our mapping files, which we shared with them. And then I informed them of this coming to the commission today and that I would update them on the status of the letter after this meeting.
Were there any issues with it at all? They're fine with the changes?
There were no communications about concerns of the boundaries we showed.
Probably appreciative that it's cleaned up. So good, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's clarification, and maybe we can, as a board, have clarification. I know this came up with our city as well, and when we talk about this board and the amount of time that it takes for some of the developments that come forth, especially the annexations, I want to make sure that it's clear. And how can we clarify, I think, because I think for our cities as well, we had faced that. It's 20 years and it's taken so long But a lot of that was also comprised of the development didn't move forward for several years. So I want to be clear as well, because I want to make sure that the message that we send to our community isn't that this board has been the impediment. There is impediments, obviously, because we want to make sure that the construction moves forward and that we have policies set in place that are working with our cities and that we're working jointly to ensure that the construction is moving forward. But we also want to make sure that the messaging to our community isn't that we've lacked, or this board has lacked 20 years from moving these projects forward. So how do we clarify that messaging and how do we make it clear? Because I want to make sure that we're working together and not against each other. That's my comment.
Take that as a comment.
Yes.
Okay. Any other commissioner discussion? We'll go to Commissioner Oglesby.
Thank you. I want to go to the letter for, first I want to say, those are good comments from Director Vasquez about, I don't think this commission has been an impediment, but sometimes people try to paint us in that light. I want to go to the letter for City of Gonzales, and just, I guess it's the third paragraph and the third sentence where it says, incorporate one-to-one farmland mitigation strategies, and then in parentheses it says, preferably through conservation easements near Gonzales. I don't know if that's a requirement, and I'm not sure exactly why that was in there. And I don't know how that was helpful to the continued conversation we're having. If it was just an update for us, why would we need to state that? Why would we need to know that? And for me, I don't want it to come and be, thrown out in the ether, and then it comes back at me as some type of guaranteed requirement as a foundation. So those are just comments.
Yes, thank you. I'll briefly do my best to address that question or concern. The items that we included in this letter to the City of Gonzales pertains to the city's current preparation of a draft environmental impact report. Ultimately, this commission will be relying on that document as part of the providing support for a future annexation. And so in order that we can really cooperate with the city and work closely with the city, our LAFCO does have a long practice of engaging in the CEQA process of a city. So the item that our commissioner was just referencing is taken from our adopted agricultural preservation policy. We're pulling from that language in order that those that and other related policies can be addressed in the draft EIR. And that will then help the process go forward more smoothly and efficiently. Thank you.
Discussions on this item? I'm seeing no one make eye contact.
I do. I have a question.
Do another one. Okay.
On page 2 of that letter to Gonzales, I was unclear. I was trying to figure out, when we talked about the possibility of having phased by 25% annexation and implementation, I'm unclear about the buffer zones, how this was written. So is staff's interpretation that if you take, let's say you have 800 acres, just to make it easy, and you take 200, that then you immediately, while you're doing that first 200, you implement a buffer zone onto the remaining part of the parcel until someone takes down the second 200, and then you move the buffer zone forward? I was just trying, when I read this, for me it was confusing. I'm just trying to figure out how we're all interpreting this.
All right, thank you. Generally, agricultural buffers, as applied by this commission, are on the property being annexed. They're not on the neighboring properties in general. And the buffers are of two basic types. Some are temporary, that are just there until, say, the next phase of annexation, next phase of urban development. Some are permanent, that are meant to define the edge of a city in perpetuity. And so,
Okay, that I understand.
yeah.
But if I take 200, if I own 800 acres and I take 200 for development, is our requirement that a buffer zone be put between the 200 and the next 200, and it keeps rolling, or is it a buffer zone on the entire 800?
There could very well be a temporary agricultural buffer
So I was trying to,
that would roll into the next area, and then that second temporary buffer would protect that newly urbanized land, or protect the farmland near that from the new urbanized land.
trying to picture it in my head how it was going to work if they had to keep moving the buffer zone, so I guess they do. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on this item? Otherwise, I'm happy to entertain a motion.
I would move that we approve of items 11, A, B, and C.
I'll second that to keep us moving here. All right. We've got a second from, I saw your hand up there. Okay, make eye contact with me and I'll make sure we get you. Okay, so we have a motion from Leffel, a second from Oglesby. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, we can move on to item number 12, which is to propose update, annual update to LAFCO's Policies and Procedures Manual. And I'll bring it back to staff again.
Thank you, Chair. This item has been considered by our Budget and Finance Committee and will be presented today by Jonathan. Thank you. Or Jeff, excuse me.
Thank you, Kate. Madam Chair and Commissioners, as Kate mentioned, this item was reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee on February 19th. Consistent with LAFCO's annual work program tasks, LAFCO staff, General Counsel, and our special legal counsel, Liebert, Cassidy, and Whitmore, complete an annual review of our Comprehensive Policies and Procedures Manual. And this addresses any changes in federal, state, or local laws and policies. So just a little bit of background. On May 6, 2024, the Budget and Finance Committee reviewed and recommended Commission adoption of LAFCO's Comprehensive Policies and Procedures Manual. And that effort included compiling, organizing, and updating LAFCO's policies and procedures into a manual comprised of 4 chapters. That's administrative, financial, human resources, and sphere of influence and change of organization policies and procedures. And that was adopted on May 20th, 2024. So then annually, we look at our federal, state, and local laws and policies to see if we need to make any changes. This year, we did see some needed updates, primarily due to SB 707, an update to the Brown Act, SB 827, which added training requirements for fiscal and financial training every 2 years for commissioners and staff, and an added requirement regarding the availability of LAFCO application forms and protest forms due to SB 489. Other updates revolved around the elimination of the LAFCO clerk administrator position and assigning those duties to the LAFCO analysts. So staff is recommending that the commission approve this annual update, and I'll happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. We'll open it up to public comment on this item, number 12. Seeing that in chambers, are there any online?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
Okay, seeing no public comment online, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion, motion. Anyone?
I'll move the recommendation of the Finance Committee.
All right, we have a motion from Gorley. We've got a second from Leffel. This is on item number 12. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion continues. It's approved. Sorry. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 13, which is our draft annual work program for fiscal year 26-27, and we'll give it to staff again.
Thank you, Chair. This item was also considered by our Budget and Finance Committee last month and will be presented today by Jonathan.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Just wanted to present the draft annual work program for consideration today. It was reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee at their February meeting, and there were some additions to the work program. One that I wanted to highlight was the government and community relations to provide additional training support to special districts in helping their compliance with state laws. So that is included in this work program. And I also wanted to just briefly go over what is in this work program. Generally, we provide the work program ahead of the budget. The budget assures the resources are there to implement the work program. The work program looks at areas where we'll be focusing staff work in the coming year. So this work program supports housing, economic development, infrastructure, essential public services, those priorities for LAFCO. In terms of structure, the work program is organized into 6 core functions, including application processing, municipal service reviews, and sphere of influence studies, and administration as highlights. And there's an emphasis on cost-effective, responsive, and legally sound delivery of services to the Commission. So under application processing, we anticipate a moderate increase in annexation and boundary change applications this coming year. Key projects include City of Gonzalez's Vista Lucia annexation, the City of Salinas Frasky Business Center. Additional near-term proposals that are anticipated include Marina Coast Water District and Pajaro Sunny Mesa Community Services District for their water system consolidation project. In terms of municipal service reviews and sphere of influence studies, our ongoing priorities include follow-up actions for special districts in coordination on regional service issues. Upcoming studies include, for municipal services review and sphere of influence studies include the City of Gonzales, City of Salinas, Monterey Salinas Transit, cemetery districts, and other various special districts. And then on administrative initiatives, we have a focus on improving transparency, efficiency, and public access through updates to our website and development of automation tools. Also, a commissioner's resource portal as part of our work program. We also have additional efforts focused on looking at our office lease space, which our current lease expires in June of 2028, and enhanced resources for the public and commissioners. So overall, the work program positions LAFCO to remain flexible, efficient, and responsive to the community and other agencies' needs. And this is presented and staff is available for any questions from the Commission.
All right, we'll bring it back to the Commission. Questions, comments from the Commission? Okay, we'll go to Commissioner Velasquez.
Thank you for providing the work plan. I know obviously we already adopted a budget, but just in the interest of obviously providing additional information to our community, to our special districts as well, and to the public, and gathering more public support and also more interest in being part of the Commission. Obviously, many of us that have sat here for a couple of years now, it's really hard to be able to provide a diverse kind of, applicant pool for some of these positions. Is there an opportunity to do any social media? Obviously, we have a website. I know, being on some of the other boards that are a little bit complicated as well, and even the Salinas Valley groundwater sustainability. I mean, they're doing also some more at, social media. So would it be a possibility to add some component of social media to be able to provide more information in terms of what LAFCO does and what is the responsibility of LAFCO and the tools for the community and for our special districts?
Yes. So social media presence is the question, is there an opportunity? And I think there is an opportunity for that. We currently have a YouTube channel that is one type of a social media platform. I know it's not the most well-known, but it's one way for the public to see what our commission is doing, to watch our commission meetings, but there are other social media platforms we could add to our work program.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Leffel?
So having just visited 30-some of the 41 districts, I would like to say that many of them need training and they need help. And so what we did as a budget finance committee working with staff, we put $25,000 into the budget for this coming year that we will be able to work with CSDA with their training and to get out in groups, not district by district, but by location, by regional locations, to be able to do some of the training that the people, they desperately need it. There's no doubt about it. And most of the boards are allocated for 5. Many of them are running with 3. And they just get a 4th on and then somebody quits. So it's like a continual revolving door, which is very hard to run a board that way. I think Mr. Kong can address that.
I would, my special districts would love to have some, support for those, the help that we could get. Thank you.
So anyway, we'll put the money in starting July 1st, and I think staff can work also with CSDA, and we can figure out a way. CSDA, in my preliminary conversations with them, is willing to waive some of the fees for non-members in order to bring all of the districts into compliance. So we'll work forward on that and see what we can do. But it seemed it's time. I mean, we need to do it. We write them up under our reviews. We say you're deficient. We're doing a lot better job now of tracking it and going back out and working with them. But I think some of it is just providing 3 or 4 times a year some training right in their backyard that they can show up for and that they can do. And this new financial training is a good example. CSDA had a maximum of 1,000 people that could sign on to it the first time they put the video out, and they were turning people away. So there's a lot of interest in it. It's really important. If you haven't taken it, I advise you to take it. You will learn, even if you've sat on a board a long time, you'll learn things about reporting on pensions and unfunded liabilities and things that most don't have a clue about. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you, we put it in there. It is on this work plan, and I think it's one of the most significant things we could do. And I think, it's also going to benefit some of the smaller cities because there's a lot of room for improvement. I'll leave it at that.
As you said, and going through that election process also, not only am I worried about the training, I'm also worried about the physical audits of these districts, to be completely honest. If the district is in that much chaos, how do they even know where the money goes, money comes from? There's a lot going on there, and I think we need to be a little more fiscally responsible the way the world is right now. We need to check that So that's something that worried me when I went through that election process. Still worries me now that the money, we don't know where that money goes, where there needs to be a check on that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I did have I wanted to add my support for, I think that's, and these aren't numbered, but it's on page 133 of our packet, page 3 of 5 of the work plan. But we do have participating in community educational opportunities to promote understanding and dialogue, with some examples of the Monterey County Civil Grand Jury presentation, and presentations to California American Planning Association conference as examples. But I think that social media and generally broader outreach in a variety of ways, whether that's civic education to cities or within civic groups, there are opportunities to add that. So I'll support that comment from previous commissioner. I also wanted to acknowledge the issue that Commissioner Leffel brought up about the vacancies on special districts, and recognize that I think in the conversations I've had with folks, there are many folks that are not aware of the fact that they could serve on a special district. We spend a tremendous amount of time advertising the dozens and dozens and dozens of county commissions and boards and bodies that people can volunteer to serve on. And it does take a concerted effort to put the word out. But then when we do it, we find that people do apply. And so I think there's an opportunity, potentially, I'm not sure what LAFCO's role in that would be, but as we educate and provide education to our special districts, making sure that if there's ways that we can collectively help push information out about vacancies and where those vacancies are, and how do you even apply for a vacancy on some of these special districts is not always clear. There is a role for LAFCO to play in that. So I was glad to see those two items included on our work plan for next year. The one item that I didn't see, and maybe I missed it, but we've talked in other conversations at LAFCO about our transition of leadership and wanting to make sure that there was some acknowledgement that we would be onboarding someone new, and that new individual, depending on where they come from and what their knowledge is, they may be exceptionally knowledgeable about LAFCO, but there are so many nuances about Monterey County's issues that there may be a need for some additional support or mentorship for whoever we bring on as a new executive officer, starting hopefully in the summer. And I didn't see that listed here. Was there a reason that was not included as a specific item, maybe under administrative and human resources management? But I would suggest that we add that as something that that will take up time and will be something we need to acknowledge.
So to that was on the initial draft that the staff gave us, and that is the $25,000 that we moved over into the training for the districts and the small cities that appear to need the training. The feeling
And
is...
just to clarify, this is the work plan that we're referencing, not the budget.
Yeah, but
okay.
it was a budget decision and a work plan decision. The budget item. Okay, so we can talk about it in the budget.
Okay, well, I'm suggesting that it's something that we need to acknowledge in our work plan because there will be staff time that goes into that onboarding process, whether it's staff time of the new executive officer, staff time of our existing staff, it will be an impact on the workflow that occurs in the coming year. So if there's support for that, I would suggest that we approve the draft work program with the inclusion of an additional item under administrative and human resource management to acknowledge the need for ongoing onboarding support of new staff. Anyone opposed to that? Okay, well, I guess I'll just make that as a motion. Is there a second? Okay, and was that a second? I heard a voice from Donahue. Okay, second from Donahue, thank you. And I don't think I took this out to public comment. Let's take this out to public comment.
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
Okay, this was item number 13. And we will then close public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion is adopted, and we'll move on to our next item, which is item number 14, and we have a couple public hearings. So this will be a public hearing to consider status of vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts. We'll bring it to staff.
Excuse me. Thank you. And Jonathan will present this report.
Chair Askew and Commissioners, this is a public hearing to receive and consider a status of vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts. This is a requirement that started last year from Government Code Section 3502.3. It mandates that public agencies track and present information on job vacancies prior to consideration of a final fiscal year budget. So in terms of staff vacancies, over the past year, LAFCO's reduced its staff from 4 full-time positions to 3. This has been implemented by essentially moving the role of the clerk and assigning those duties to the 2 analysts. And the clerk position has been left unfilled for this fiscal year, and the next fiscal year budget proposes that position be removed from the budget. So that is the update on the vacancies. And then on recruitment and retention efforts, as the Commission is aware, there's a recruitment effort that's going on for the executive officer role, which would follow the retirement of our current executive officer. And the retirement would go in effect on June 30th, 2026. So LAFCO has set up a personnel committee and hired a human resources recruitment consultant. The recruitment brochure has been distributed, and the recruitment is underway. The interviews are anticipated through March and April, and potential offer could be made in April or May of this year to a new executive officer. Anticipated start date of the executive officer is generally July. So that is this staff report. Staff is available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Let's open this up to public comment. Anyone in chambers or online for public comment?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, no public comment today on this item. We'll bring it back to the board for discussion. Any discussion, or I'm happy to entertain a motion.
So moved, Chair.
All right, we have a motion from Oglesby, a second from Leffel. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion is passed, and we'll move on to item number 15, conduct a public hearing to consider a proposed annual budget for fiscal year 26-27. This is the first hearing. We'll bring it back to staff again.
Thank you, Chair. This item has been considered by our Budget and Finance Committee and will be presented today by Jonathan.
Chair and Commissioners, so today's public hearing on the budget, I just wanted to highlight that the proposed budget totals 1.157 million. It's reflecting a modest 0.8% increase. The budget emphasizes the cost control, efficiency, and maintaining high-quality core services. Funding levels in the budget are sufficient to implement the Commission's adopted work program. The budget relates to staffing changes, that there's a transition from 4 full-time equivalents to 3, with duties redistributed to the 2 analyst positions for efficiency. The proposed budget adds funding for temporary clerical and professional support during peak workloads. Also wanted to note some key expenditures in the budget. The salaries and benefits line item has decreased by 12.5% in this budget. That's due to reduced staffing. There is increased funding for legal services due to higher billing rates and the anticipated workload. There is an added item for $25,000 for training to support special districts training in their compliance efforts in this year's budget. There's an added $50,000 line item for the website redesign, developing automation tools, improving it to have a commissioner's resources portal. And then on the revenue side, revenues match the expenditures. And then after accounting for application fees and interest income. The budget is funded primarily by the county, the cities, and special districts in Monterey County. Each of those three groups contributes a third. With this budget is approximately a 0.4% increase in their contribution levels. In terms of litigation and reserves, there's no additional funding requested in this budget for ongoing litigation. Litigation costs are covered by LAFCO's reserves. The litigation reserve remains adequate at this time. At the end of the fiscal year, we'll bring back an item to replenish that litigation reserve to the target level of $300,000. And then in terms of process, this budget adoption requires two hearings, today's hearing for the proposed budget, and then the April hearing, April 27th, for the final draft budget approval. And staff is available for any questions.
All right, let's start opening this up to the public. Anyone from the public for public comment on this?
Chair Rudasky, no hands are raised on Zoom.
Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. Any comments, questions? We'll start with Velasquez. Commissioner Velasquez, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for working on the proposed budget. I just have a comment. Obviously, there's a proposal and brought forth through the executive committee, but we're reducing the full-time staff from the clerk. We have now 3 executive officers a full-time executive officer and 2 analysts. So the analyst positions will absorb the clerk duties. But we just saw the work plan, and the work plan, obviously there's a lot more on the work plan in terms of the reviews for the cities, and the work plan contains a lot more as well. So for me, it's just making sure that the workload that we have before us in the work plan is going to be, it's realistic for the individuals that are being, for the individuals that we have as staff, if we're cutting the position of the clerk and absorbing that by the analyst, that's going to be sufficient to really be realistic to accomplish what's before us in the work plan. That's my only concern. I know sometimes we want to cut positions and we think that we can complete the work plan with the people that we have having been in those positions. Sometimes you're gonna, the people that are gonna do the work, you're gonna overwork them. And for me, that's a concern. And so just wanting to make sure that we're being realistic about the work plan and the individuals that are left to do that. That's my comment.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, I'll jump in. I did have a couple. On the 7095 item, which is the redesign and optimization of the website and organizational systems, I just want to make sure that is defined in a way that's broad enough to accomplish the work plan items that we just discussed about wanting to have some additional outreach. I'm not sure if that's the right line item. I guess I'm not clear where the line items tie back to the work plan, but want to make sure that we're able to fund the additional outreach that was just discussed. Would that fall under 7095, or is there a different line item that would fall under?
Yes, so line item 7095 is the 50,000 additional in the budget for redesigning the website, developing automation tools, and developing a commissioner's resources portal. So that is a line item that could be broad enough if funding is needed for increasing our social media presence. That would seem to fit into this line item.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify that. And then on, I think maybe to Commissioner Velasquez's point on, wanting to make sure that we have sufficient staff capabilities under the salaries section, salaries and benefits. We are reducing a position while we're also adding a brand new staff person. And so I was looking at line item 7230, which adds some funding for temporary help services. it references clerical specifically, but I could imagine that there may be times if we're working on MSR that we may need to pull someone who's not necessarily clerical in nature in. There may also, as we were looking at the work plan and we added some onboarding for a new executive director or executive officer, that there may be some additional supports needed there. Would it make sense, do you anticipate needing clerical support, or would it leave that category broader to take off clerical so that if we needed to bring on additional supports, we'd have some flexibility in those dollars?
I think the anticipation is it would be clerical or professional.
Clerical or professional. Okay. And then to the previous question, is $25,000 sufficient in that line item, given all of the changes that we anticipate having play out? Was that an arbitrary number? Was there more thought behind that dollar amount? Or was it just to make the bottom line numbers equal each other?
There was thought and reflection on the $25,000 amount. For example, over the past year, we did work with Santa Cruz LAFCO for services, analysts, and clerical services from them. And $25,000 is within the 6 months that we did work with them.
Okay. And if there was a need to increase that, this report doesn't include include sort of our top line revenue, but we do have some reserve savings if we needed to move other things around. That could happen over the course of the year, as we just did.
That's correct.
Okay. That answers, I think, my questions on this item. All right. Happy to entertain it. Was there a hand? Did I miss? People are moving. Okay. Happy to entertain a motion on this budget.
Move we approve the budget as presented.
Okay. Would you be willing to make those changes that we just discussed in terms of
Adding
line item
professional and
7095 and 7230?
yes.
Okay. I'll
Second.
second from, we haven't heard from, we'll go to Daniels on that one. Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
So we have a motion from Leffel, a second from Daniels to approve the budget with the two changes to those line items. And we will, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Our first hearing on the proposed budget is approved. We're wrapping it up here. We'll go to our public hearing to consider an amendment to LAFCO's schedule of fees and deposits. We'll bring it back to staff again.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is our last written report for the evening. And it too was initially considered by the Budget and Finance Committee and will be presented today by Jonathan.
Chair, Askew, and Commissioners, this item is regarding amendment to LAFCO's schedule of fees and deposits. This update supports LAFCO's goal of recovering actual costs for application processing. So the proposed changes to the fee schedule include establishing 2 analyst billing rates. Our current billing rate is an average of analyst costs that was approved in 2024. What is proposed is the 2 billing rates would be tailored to each analyst position. So the current billing rate being $186 per hour would remain the same for the associate analyst position based on the analysis that we did, and $216 an hour for the principal analyst. The overall increase to the application fee deposits is recommended to be 5%, which is consistent with the consumer price index trends over the past 2 years. In terms of the cost recovery framework, only application processing is funded by application fees. All the other functions of LAFCO are publicly funded by the 3 major funders: the county, the cities, the special districts. So fees are based on our actual time and materials for providing the service, and these are deposits that will be added to if needed when an application moves forward. In terms of cost drivers on the overhead rates for the analysts, hourly rates. In terms of what you just saw with the budget, those budget increases, including the website redesign, the temporary staffing, the additional training for special districts, those are considered factors of the overhead. The analyst staffing costs have slightly decreased on average since 2024, but together, both of those cost factors resulted in the recommendations today. In terms of legal authority, state law allows LAFCO to charge fees that do not exceed our reasonable cost of providing our services. If approved, these updates would take effect July 1st when the budget goes into effect. And just a note on other LAFCOs on the hourly rate, well, we are still within the range of nearby LAFCOs for the associate analyst rate and just slightly above on the principal analyst rate. The highest other hourly rate near us is Santa Clara LAFCO, that's $213 per hour. And just overall, these updates ensure fairness, transparency, and alignment with the actual costs of LAFCO's processing of applications. So staff is available for any questions, and I'll turn it back over to the chair. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there any public comment on this item?
No hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, cool. And there's no one in chambers, so we will bring it back to the board for discussion, comments, questions, or a motion.
I would move approval.
Okay, we have a motion from Leffel. Do we have a second? All right, go ahead. All right, we have a motion from Leffel, a second from Oglesby. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, motion carries. We'll move on to our executive officer communications.
Thank you, Chair, and I have no oral or written communications today.
All right, any commissioner comments today? All right, no one's jumping in. So we will move on to, we will recess into closed session on one item. Is there, this is closed session regarding public employment of our executive officer. And is there any public comment on our closed session items today?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
Seeing no one here in the room or online, we will recess into closed session. Do we need to report out?
There's no anticipated action to be taken, so I think we can adjourn from closed session now.
Okay, so we'll plan to adjourn from closed session. And our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 27th, 2026 at 3 p.m. here at the Monterey County Government Center. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll move our way into closed session.